Hey guys, it's Antiquated Ideas here, coming at you with another video. This is take two because I just recorded 20 minutes of a video and then realized that my mic volume was turned to zero. So absolutely nothing got recorded. But that's cool because I want to do work on some transitions while I'm talking. I'm not really sure how to do it. I don't know. Right now I'm in an OBS. For any of you who knows what that is. But so anyway, today's topic is about irony and the lack of seriousness in the Western world, and it's kind of funny in a way. Ironic, I should say, that I'm recording this on April 1st. You know, isn't that nice? That's a coincidence. I didn't mean to do that, but it works out well. So, let me get into it. What I have observed today, hold on, is that in Western culture, especially among youth, like millennials and Zoomers, right? More so among Zoomers, Gen Z. There's this like complete lack of seriousness. People just they don't want to talk about things. They don't want to talk about their emotions. They don't want to talk about their feelings. They don't want to talk about their opinions. They don't want to talk about like um any sort of like real topic. So politics as an example, they don't want to talk about that. I mean, fuck, that's boring, right? Um Religion, who the fuck wants to talk about that? That's scary, right? Jeez. I brought this example up last time about how people like to shy away from this. In the one that I recorded before, but was stupid enough to have the mic volume set to zero for. So my example was this: I went out with a kind of close friend of mine from high school and two other friends that were not as close, but you know, I still like hanging out with them. It's good company. So we went out to get a bite to eat. They're in college, by the way. Okay. And they had all got their food. I went to the restroom when I came back. They were all talking about something, you know, making jokes, and I sit down. I sit there for a second. And they all look at me, right? And I'm thinking, okay, what now? Well, they ask me, they go, "Hey, Antiquated, do you believe in God?" And I mean, I'm looking at them like, you know, is this a serious question, or are you just gonna make a joke out of it? Right now, that's not what I said. I said yes because I do believe in God. And of course, right away they start making jokes about it. They're like, "Oh, isn't that nice? Oh, that's good for you." And then, you know, one of them taps the other one on the shoulder and goes, "Oh, you know, imagine believing in God." Right? And so that example, I think, perfectly exemplifies uh, just what I'm talking about and the issue that I'm talking about here. And that's how people don't want to talk about things. It's like, I couldn't even tell you where it came from because I don't understand it. I can't fathom why people wouldn't want to talk to each other about things. Like that's an essential part of being human is that you want to sit there and you want to talk to people to feel better. I mean, like throughout your entire life, the one of the few constants is that you're born alone and you're going to die alone. You know, what's going on in your head is in your head. Nobody else gets it unless you talk about it. And I know that's scary for people, and that's why they don't want to talk about it. But it's also kind of concerning because that creates a lot of emotional issues. Like right now, and I'm probably going to make another video also today about this. But, you know, the virus that's going on, COVID-19 or coronavirus, you know, the Chinaman flu, yellow fever, if you like that one. People in their homes, you know, in isolation, they don't know how to deal with it, and it's I think in part because they don't know how to talk to people about the fact that they're upset about being alone. And there's nothing wrong with being alone. I mean, I would consider myself to be someone that's more of a loner. I like having a lot of my own personal time, and I would prefer to have exclusive company with just a few people that I can really talk to rather than knowing a lot of people. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the other way around, too, as long as you have people to talk to and people that you care about and they care about you. But I've seen multiple people now, and you can look it up in the news. Just go on Google. People have literally killed themselves over fear of this virus and over fear of isolation. And it's not hard to understand why people do it. I mean, I'm not agreeing with it because I think, you got to be a dumb fuck to do that. Like 10 IQ right there. But it's not hard to understand that when you're not talking about your emotions, when you're not talking about your feelings, your thoughts, your concerns, those things build up. And that's why they always use the anachronism of a bottle, right? When you're bottling things up. Because imagine, right? Imagine you take a bottle and you just fill it and you keep filling it and filling it and filling it, but it never gets to release. Like with gas or something as an example. And by gas, I don't mean like gasoline. I mean like a vapor. It's going to become so pressurized that at some point it explodes. And that's what happens to a lot of people. And that's usually what growing up is about. You learn how to deal with your emotions like that. Everyone goes through things like their first relationship, their first boyfriend or whatever. Nobody knows how to communicate. But that's something that you learn because you want to talk to the other person. And it's just stupid now. Like, if I was on Discord with some of the people, I wouldn't even consider them friends. I only go on Discord because I have one real friend that I talk to. And I mean, he is a real friend. Like I see him, he's from school. He's probably one of the few friends, like 1 out of 3 people that I know in person and that I can legitimately talk to my feelings about too. But if I go on Discord with him and, there's this group of people from school that we talk to. But if one of them were to come on and say like, oh, my girlfriend just broke up with me. Like, hey, I could really use somebody to talk to right now. Everyone in that stupid fucking Discord, they would be like, oh, you have a girlfriend? Wow. Or, like imagine having feelings, just stupid jokes like that. And it's ridiculous. That's what pushes people away. That's what makes them feel alone. And that's what makes them do radical things because they don't know how to deal with their emotions and they don't know how to deal with their thoughts. I think it's just I just can't understand why people do that, why they like where it came from, why they don't want to talk about anything. I mean, I know it's a way of avoiding things. It's escapism really, where people use memes to get their way like find a way out of talking about it. But where that culture came from is beyond me. My point, or one of my next points, is how friends, they don't have legitimate connections anymore. I mean, that's why I would say I have maybe 2 or 3 people that I can legitimately talk to that aren't my parents, that are my friends. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's usually how things are. I would say that you're rich if you have one good friend even who you can talk to about anything. And that's something that everyone needs, and that just comes from talking to people. But I see like that Discord server as an example. These people, like, they aren't real friends. I mean, yeah, sure, they hang out with each other. They might talk. You like, oh, hey, my mom's upset. Oh, and oh, that sucks. Something like that. But they aren't actually there for each other. And I see that a lot among younger people, is that they really just aren't there. They don't have that connection. It's like they definitely do have emotions for their friends, and I would say that this is more so among men than it is women. Um, I mean, I'm not saying that it can't be either, but I notice it more in men. And yes, of course, there has been that stereotype of, the cowboy, rough and tough, a man of few words type thing, which, believe me, is not masculine at all. I mean, if that's who you are, that's fine. But you should always know how to talk about your feelings when it's appropriate. That's what makes you a real man. And people just don't see it like that. But it's not like they're doing it because they want to be macho and manly. They're doing it because they're afraid of their feelings. Like they're afraid to talk about it because they don't want to be made fun of. They don't want to be the butt end of somebody's joke. And you never should be the butt end of somebody's joke for talking about your feelings. So that's sort of my point on how friends don't really have connections anymore. Is obviously, I notice that these people, they care about each other, but they would never ever say it. And there's nothing wrong with telling your friend. I mean, even telling your friend, like, hey, I love you. You're my friend. It's not like, I love you. I want to fuck you in the ass. Or I love you. I want to get married to you. It's just, you love them. They're your friend. You appreciate them. You can talk about things. But people just aren't like that. And this leads me into my next point, which would be the mental issues that this creates, right? So I mentioned earlier how people have already killed themselves over this virus because they're afraid of what's going to happen. Well, I want you to imagine one very unlikely scenario for me, okay? And that scenario is that if you're worried about something, you just tell somebody. Now, I know that's completely ridiculous. That would never happen, right? But well, imagine if you did. Imagine all the good things that could happen if you just talk to somebody, for once about your feelings, right? Well, maybe then you wouldn't end up killing yourself over something stupid. You wouldn't panic about something that you don't need to panic over. There's a lot of mental issues that come with not talking about your feelings. And that's why I mentioned being bottled up earlier, is because a lot of people do bottle their feelings up. And if they don't come out on their own, via some dramatic, burst of emotion, what's going to happen is these people find ways to escape through drugs or alcohol or, in this case, what's common now is comedy, memes. And don't get me wrong, I do like meme culture. It's a blessing. But along with it comes a lot of people that won't talk about their feelings. So that's an issue. And a small tangent that I want to make is how this aids the hookup culture, pun included. But I think that people, I mean, they always have, but I think that people now look to sex as a way to escape, because they want that connection with somebody, and they haven't been taught that the right way to have that connection with somebody is to find somebody that you can talk to, that you have feelings for, and you want to be close to that person. You want to make a commitment to that person. But people nowadays are so afraid of commitment. It is insane. I mean, I'm sure it's listed as a phobia, but if you actually measured all the people that had that phobia, it would be outstanding. I bet it would be like 2/3 of the population. Um, but I digress. So what's happening is with Tinder and Bumble, or whatever the other ones are, it's easier and easier for people to have mindless sex. And in a way, it's not mindless, because I think that the majority of these people are just trying to fill a hole, figuratively, not literally, although also literally. Um, and that causes, damaging issues to your self-worth. And then what's going to happen is these people are like in this case women who follow those dumbass fucking retard BuzzFeed articles that talk about why you should sleep with 10 men before getting married or whatever. If somebody can find the article, that would be great. That's a good one to laugh at. Although it is kind of scary, not gonna lie, because you definitely should not be teaching young and impressionable women that, let alone anyone, that's not how things work. But alas, unfortunately, that's the way things are going. But say you're one of those women, and I observe this sometimes, where these women, they've spent their 20s just hooking up with men, not actually settling down, because one, maybe they think they're empowered or something and they don't need to have a boyfriend, or two is they think like the hedonistic type of lifestyle, where they think that they're just out to live for themselves and enjoy life, and whatever dumb excuse they use. But what ends up happening is that these people, they're never fulfilled. They're never content with their lives. So they go on, into their 30s, and they're looking to settle down and get married, but then people don't want them because they've spent their best years just fooling around with people, doing things that are entirely meaningless and damaging to them. Nobody wants somebody with all the self-worth issues that comes with. I mean, that's a burden on you. That's a liability that you have on your hands. So that's something to think about, is number one, how you can talk to people and avoid this. But number two is that, and I expect that if you're listening to this video, you're probably smart enough that you can figure out how to talk to people, that hopefully you can take this as inspiration to just develop your feelings, about anything, whatever you're passionate about. Enjoy talking about it. If you're worried about something, then tell someone, it's not bad. That's what you should do. But what really scares me, and what should scare you too, is how this is going to affect future generations. Because millennials as parents really don't work. I mean, a lot of these people have just warped their children. It's like they try to be friends with their kids, number one, which is probably the worst thing that you could do to a child. I mean, like, same with buying them everything they could ever want. One of my cousins is like that, and he's in his 40s and or late 30s, I guess. And he's literally forcing his mom to go to therapy with him because she was trying to be a good mother. But again, I digress. What's going to happen, though, is as a parent, if you can't talk to your kid about your kid's problems are just going to start snowballing and becoming these huge issues. And obviously, as a parent, you love your kid. You don't want that to happen to them. But if you can't talk to your kid, and your kid would definitely understand that they can't talk to you because you're not talking to them. So their issues, like I said, they're just going to snowball. And your own mental issues will probably end up rubbing off on them. And it's just going to perpetuate this culture that we have of all these like mental issues, it, not talking about your feelings does legitimately create depression, and it does legitimately create loneliness and all these other things that could easily be avoided. So at the end of this video anyway, if you want to check out my bio, I have my email in here. So if you feel like you need to message me about something, or just even just to say hey or something, go ahead, because everyone should feel like they can talk to somebody. And even if that's not me, find someone that you can talk to, because that's a real issue. Not to get all cheesy about it or whatever, but I do understand why people hurt themselves and why people get depressed and why all these things happen. So anyway, that's going to be it for today, or at least for this video. I have a Patreon and I have a PayPal if you feel like donating or helping me out in any way. If you like this video, please do like it. Let me know if you want me to keep making more videos about these types of things, or if you have any requests, leave a comment in the comment section and I will read it and I will get to it. So anyway, thank you.